Najib Daho from Manchester defends his title against the former champion Cowdell from Birmingham. 17 months ago, Cowdell lost that title to Daho in just one round. It was a fight that finished in chaos and controversy.
It must seem like eternity now to Cowdell. This is the longest 3 minutes he's ever been in. Oh, and it looks as though he's going to get counted out. Even the bell came to the rescue. The crowd have invaded the ring. This should not be happening. They cannot crown the champion. They're trying to throw him out now. I don't know what's going to happen here, because if the bell had gone, the referee has every right to say that this ring has been unfairly invaded. No, he hasn't. He's actually stopped the fight.
Cowdell lost an appeal against that decision, and the bitterness between the two fighters has simmered ever since.
Well, this fight means the world to me, really. As you know, what happened with the last fight with me and Daho, a very controversial decision. The crowd invaded the ring, I was trampled on, hit when I was down. I've got to get out there tonight and I've got to prove that the decision was wrong. I've got to get out there and fight and give it everything I've got. I've got to get out there and win. I've got to get out there and prove that Cowdell can still do it at 34.
Well, this fight means the world to me. It's more to me than any other fight I've ever had, because that's all I'm holding this moment. And I've got the European title on the line. So all my friends, all my family depend on me to keep this belt for them. And I promise them I will keep it, and it's all on the line for me now.
So the scene is set then for an explosive confrontation. The fight is sponsored by Croxley's Script. The boxers are already in the ring. And as you've noticed since we've been on the air, the noise level has really risen here. It's not surprising. Big support for Cowdell from his hometown. And for Najib Daho, he's brought a lot of people from Manchester. Well, we'll be back with the first bell then in just a couple of minutes from now.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Rowland and Terry Lynch proudly present the main event of evening, a 12 rounds super featherweight contest of 3 minutes each round for the super featherweight championship of Great Britain, sponsored by Croxley Script Papers. Between and introducing to you Henry's title, the super featherweight champion of Great Britain from Manchester, Najib Daho. And in this corner, the challenger, the former British and European featherweight champion from Raleigh, Cowdell. At 1 o'clock this afternoon, both boys scaled 9 stone, 3.5 pounds. Your officials, appointed by the British Boxing Board of Control, your referee, Mr. Sid Nathan of London, your timekeeper, Brian Heath of Sutton Coldfield, and your steward in charge, Mr. Charlie Giles. Thank you.
So now we go live to the fight with the referee Sid Natham and our commentators, who as usual are Jim Watt and Reg Gutteridge.
So grab your ringside seat then with us, because this really, just looking at each other, they won't look eye to eye. They've been fidgeting, waiting to get on with it, and it really is an electric atmosphere here indeed. Now, is this going to be a minefield and a repeat of the fight 17 months ago or not? Cowdell, the great veteran of boxing, of course, although in fact Daho was a professional before he was. Nine stone for the super featherweight division, and they both weighed a half pound inside that weight. And it's the first time that Sid Nathan has refereed a Pat Cowdell fight since that very controversial decision that he gave against Cowdell for Dave Needham in the Midlands. And that was when the promoter, Ron Gray, actually barred the national press, so he didn't quite get the coverage that was expected at the time. So a minute gone now, and Cowdell looks as though he wants to get his hands well tucked high, his head down, and get close and not stand for these winging punches of Daho that caught him last time. He's had 2 wins, of course, since then at the lightweight division, moved up a bit, and had 2 cracks at the World Championship and against 2 great world champions, Cowdell, Salvatore Sanchez and Azuma Nelson. Well, that's the plan, Jim, isn't it? The big swipes from Daho, as he did first time up.
Yeah, well, I thought Cowdell's plan would have been to keep nice and tight and let Daho come forward and watch the punches come, but it's been quite the opposite. He's trying to push Daho back. It's not Cowdell's style. I don't know why he's doing it. Pat has a tremendous defence, but he should get back, and he can see these punches coming, but when he gets too close, Daho has a nice variety of punches. He can bring them from all angles, and when Cowdell is too close, he can't see them coming, but it's the opposite from what I expected from Cowdell.
Oh, he looks as though he'd been nailed a bit there, the way he grabbed on heavily there, Cowdell.
Cowdell's shaking, Reg.
And I know, and getting warned there too by Sid Nathan. Oh, he's done him again with a right-hand punch right above. You see how he's having trouble now, keeping control of his legs there. And he's getting through very early in the fight as we get the countdown clock for the end of the first. There was a time that you couldn't hit Cowdell with a bag of rice, Jim, in the opening round, but Cowdell doesn't managing it.
Cowdell doesn't seem to have the reflexes he had a couple of years ago. He's been caught with too many punches already. His tactics have been wrong. He's trying to get in close, but he can't see what he's doing, can't see what Daho's doing, but he's got through the first round, and he's going to have a real think to himself here.
Well, now there's going to be some harsh words going on in the corner there, isn't there, with the Lynch brothers, and there's his record at, as I say, age 34. The old ring general, I've called him, won so many amateur championships as well. He had a really brave fight against a marvellous Mexican champion, Salvatore Sanchez, in Houston, Texas, but was knocked over in a round in Birmingham by Nelson. Let's have a look at the replay, Jim.
Daho landed some very good punches, and that was one of them. Look at Cowdell here. He's trying to grab, obviously seriously hurt, and that was not the only time in that round he was in serious trouble. Cowdell has not done anything right in the first round. He's going to have to change his act.
4 ABA titles at 3 weights this fellow won, but obviously coming towards the end of it now. He's really had some fire in his eyes from the start, Daho. Sometimes an up and down performer, but when he's really in shape, he's a dangerous puncher. World Championship fight against Barry Michael and lost in 12 rounds, and he'd beaten Michael in the non-title fight earlier. So Sid Nathan keeping good control, actually, pushing them apart like this. It's his 35th British Championship fight he's handling. See, Cowdell's not using the old familiar trombone left hand, as I call it, as it is there. He's to keep Daho off, Jim.
He's trying to do it now. See, we don't realise, Reg, what like it is going in with a man who has already knocked you out in one round. Maybe Cowdell was slightly intimidated, and maybe he just wanted to get in close and get the first round by. Now he's trying to do what he should have been doing in the first round. Get a bit of space between himself and Daho so he can see the punches coming. He can't match Daho for power, we know that already. He has to use the tools he has.
Trouble is when you're a veteran in this game, Jim, especially at 34 at featherweight, the The mind tries to do things that the body can't keep up with. So Daho gets the warning there for holding on. Generated quite a bit of needle, I thought, this fight, not surprisingly, because Cowdell certainly complained about the outcome of last time. It was mayhem, but nonetheless Daho did tag him with a punch with a minute to go in the second. Scheduled for 12. Just trying to pop that left hand out a bit now, isn't he, and put a few punches together, but it's going to take a lot of doing to keep this fellow Daho off him as we get the countdown to the end of the first round.
Well, Daho knows he has the power, and Cowdell does not have the power to trouble him, so he's quite forward to make the pace, try to come forward, to aim the big ones.
So the end of the second, and the crowd seem a bit relieved. I think they were a bit worried about Cowdell's well-being and times in that first round. They're very big on Cowdell, as you would expect from local Wally, and there's Daho's run down there. As I said, he actually turned pro at Wolverhampton just before Pat Cowdell did, but he didn't have anything like an amateur career even compared with Cowdell. He even lost his first 3 of his 4 professional fights. But since he's been under Jack Trickett's management there in Manchester, he's certainly done well, the Caspar kid, as we call him. So this in replay there, it gets a little bit untidy. Daho throws himself at right hands, and they're both trying to hit inside, but the referee is trying to make sure they don't pull on to each other's punches. It gets a bit dangerous like that with the heads.
Second round. Round 3.
Into the third round. Now, as he weather that storm, Jim, do you think, Cowdell?
Yeah, he's completely recovered now. Daho has been told to throw uppercuts because that's the punches to throw at Cowdell, because he does bend forward and he doesn't have much of a defence up through the middle, and I think we'll see a lot of uppercuts coming from Daho in this round. It's whether or not he can get close enough to land the punches. Well, we're about to find out.
Well, for a minute there, I thought they were going to come tumbling out on us, actually, there. Just as well the ropes are joined together, this 4-roped ring, which is, the medical panels like to bring that in. They think it's a safer thing. See now, Cowdell now up to the old tricks, trying to outsmart Daho, but can he do it, Jim? He doesn't seem to be demoralising him enough, does he?
No, I don't think he'll do that. Najib Daho was really fired up for this one. You saw the way he was pacing the ring before the fight started. I think he was trying to do a psych job on Cowdell. That hasn't worked, but he's still fired up. He's still, every punch he throws, he's looking for it to do the damage.
He leaps in with that left hook like that, what Floyd Patterson used to call his gazelle punch, although he actually left the floor when he did it, the heavyweight. So they're sorting each other out now. I think the tactics have gone a bit now, Jim. They've got to get on with the fight now.
Yeah, well, Cowdell now is standing off that little bit and he can see what's coming his way. In the first round, he was far too close. But he's got past that stage. Every time Cowdell goes to work, you hear his supporters screaming. But it's pretty even at the moment. Nobody's really got the upper hand yet.
So there it is, the last 10 as we come up now for the end of this round, scheduled for 12 rounds, remember. But always unlikely to go that course, really, in a fight like this. So there you are, even getting up early for the fourth round now. Pat Cowdell getting himself together. 39 fights pro against 53 of Daho. And although at the start I'd called him the veteran, we regard that because of his exceptional amateur career, Cowdell. And of course, age-wise. Now the old general's just trying to take the play away now, Jim, isn't he?
Daho landed a good left hook at the beginning of the round, but it didn't trouble Cowdell too much, and he's trying to get back in with the long straight jab again. This type of fight obviously would suit Cowdell, but I don't think Daho will stand for this too long.
Switches the left hand now. Watch Daho do this occasionally. Tries to lead with an uppercut punch.
See, Daho is working with one punch at a time, and that's not really any good against Cowdell. You have to put them together. Daho can get power into 3-4 punches at a time. That's what he's going to have to do because he's having no success with single punches.
And the crowd loving it, of course, when Cowdell makes Daho miss. So Cowdell actually the aggressor now, it's turned out, isn't it?
Yeah, but he has made a couple of mistakes. He has let Daho through with a couple of counters. Cowdell cannot afford to lose concentration for a second here.
Minute to go in the fourth. He's stealing the left-hand points there. Remember, referee's sole charge, no judges if it does go to the distance. Really, well, at that point, jabbing Daho's head off, and the crowd literally on their feet, as you can probably see at the back there. They really do jump up with a slight success. What a great fan club he's had over the years, Cowdell. Although Daho's really got a horde of supporters around the Manchester area. Bit of a colourful character.
Cowdell's now beginning to get a bit of rhythm about his work.
Lovely tackle. The jab is beautiful. Everything off that jab.
The only one that can lose in this fight now is yourself. You're boxing beautiful. Don't get careless.
Don't get
All
careless.
he's looking for now is a pretty big wild swings pass. You keep straight out and box. Box don't get a jab. You're boxing beautiful.
Sharp in the jab. Lovely jab. Keep that jab in his face. Sharp. Bang, bang, bang. Then you're right hand left hook.
You just keep sharp. Keep your defense.
On again.
Keep your hands up. Paint them along. Paint them. Keep them long. Keep them wasting energy. Hands up.
So, Jim, this replay then giving us an idea, really. That was when Daho was very unsettled, wasn't he?
I think it was more balanced than anything else, but it shows that Cowdell is the one at this moment who had the rhythm in his work, and that was the big difference in that round.
Fifth round of this British Super Featherweight Championship, 9 stone 4 pound division. Cowdell, definite rocky start now. The crowd are echoing any success he's having with the punches there. As Jim Watt said, he's really got into a good rhythm now. But it's still these wing and a prayer stuff at times from Daho. He was pretty accurate with the left hook early on. An old craftsman at work, if ever I've seen one here, isn't it, Cowdell?
Yeah, but once that a man with Cowdell's experience and talent finds his rhythm, there's a good shot from Daho. That's the one Daho's been looking for. Cowdell's warmed to his task a bit and he took the punch better, but that was a cracking shot from Daho then.
There's a great incentive here because Daho's already been nominated for the European Championship against the Italian Cecchetti, and the Italian promoter Sabatini's won that and wants to put it on, would you believe, in Christmas Day in Italy. But if Cowdell can win this, he could easily take Daho's place and get himself back in the European Championship. He actually gave that up without being beaten.
Daho is not being allowed to put punches together. He's pot-shotting with one. Now and again he's landing with the right hand, but he's never been allowed to get his work together, put the punches together, and unless he manages to do that, he doesn't have a chance of knocking Cowdell out of this rhythm. He's going to have to move forward and put punches together.
His mouth's a bit blooded, Daho, as well, as we get the last half minute of the 5th round. He thought the bell had gone there, the referee, but it hadn't. It just shows it a sort of din in the hall. You can probably hear it on television a lot louder, the bell, than the referee can.
At this point, Daho has lost all his composure, Reg.
In the 6th round, and who knows how the second half of this fight will go, because it's really been a takeover job, Jim, isn't it, the last few rounds now for Cowdell. I mean, he's still a little bit risking as he is there when he gets caught with a punch. Maybe he's not quite absorbed them as he did in his younger day, but who does?
Yeah, well, the main thing, Reg, in the 5th round, Daho landed a cracking right hand bang on Cowdell's chin, which would probably have knocked him over. Oh, here comes Cowdell back. That punch would have knocked him over in the 1st round, but he's now warmed to his task. There's never been anything wrong with Cowdell's chin. He's been caught cold a couple of times, but now he's warmed to the task. Maybe Daho's power will not have the same effect. But Daho badly needs a good round, because he's really been on the end of that jab all the way through the 2 previous rounds.
Only taken a couple of counts in his entire career, actually, Daho. One was in South Africa against Mayasela, and then against Ken Buchanan, the former world champion. He was actually counted out where he went in as a late substitute. Quite a hard job, as they say in boxing. He's just been cut around the right eye, Cowdell. Right on the eyebrow. Well, that's a pity, although Daho's bloodied around the mouth a bit. It is first blood in the 6th round. And let's hope that the corner can cope with it okay, the corner men. Because it really would be, well, not only bad luck, but grossly unfair if Cowdell was beaten by cuts at this stage at the end of his career like this. Once had a record Lonsdale belt time for featherweights, and then was beaten by 1 day by Robert Dickey recently.
There's nothing any more demoralising, Reg, than an accurate jab coming straight into the middle of your face all night. And Daho seems to be losing a little bit of the zip that he came into the ring with. A little bit of head work from Daho there.
He's still getting through occasionally with that left hook, though, isn't it, Daho? That's Cowdell's got to watch that, particularly with the injury. You'll probably wait years before you could see featherweights or super featherweights with so many bouts as these two have had together like this. It really is amazing. So Tom Lynch now getting the coagulates out and got to work on there and staunch that cut around the eye. Of course, he's learned to live with those, Jim, and boxers do, because they don't really know the extent of them. They're the last people to know.
Well, if you got to have one of your boxers cut, then Pat Cowdell's an excellent man, because his temperament, his experience, everything, that won't trouble him in the least. He'll just go on about the job as though there is no problem. Don't worry about that.
He held the European Championship at one time when he retired, and another look at the replay, Jim.
See, Daho has still never been allowed to get any rhythm. It's been one punch at a time. Now and again he's landed, but more often than not Cowdell has taken the sting out, but Daho must get some decent work going.
I think he'll have a problem there. If his mouth's cut, Daho, he lost on a cut to Jean-Marc Renard for the European Championship. 7th round, a cut mouth there, Daho, in that fight, so I don't know whether that's the injury reopened or not. With Barry Michael in Manchester, Daho now, and is beaten by Jean-Marc Renard in Belgium. So you're just wondering now whether he's just got a bit of lead in his legs or not, Daho, Jim.
Yeah, well, things haven't been going his way. He's not had too much success, and the jabs were banging into his face, so he must be slightly demoralised. He won't give up, because that's the kind of fellow Daho is, but nothing is really going right. He's landing one punch at a time, and Cowdell has really got control of the action. Yeah, there's a certain amount of frustration in Daho's fighting, I would have thought. When his head gets jabbed back like that, the crowd are approving. Partisan and admitting it. Can't do more than that, I suppose. It's a good round for Cowdell, Jim, isn't it? Yeah, well, he's not had a bad round in the last 3. But another strong point in Cowdell's make-up is the fact that he can pace so well. I've never seen him run out of steam in a fight that's gone the distance. And he's landing bang on. He's not a hurtful puncher, but these punches are bang on target, and Daho hasn't really found an answer to it. It really looks as though he's gasping a bit there, Daho, Jim, doesn't it? It looks very leg-weary, Reg. As if the cut as well in the mouth might be causing some breathing troubles. I don't know about that. It just looks to see it as if he's running out of steam. He doesn't have anything like the zip that Cowdell has, and this must be hard stuff for him to take, because Cowdell at this moment is so accurate with these punches.
He's been wandering to both corners. The ice packs are out on Daho's neck and he needs it. Round 8. With Cowdell really coming back into the fight after a bit of an awkward start, to say the least, and boxing, well, almost like the old heyday with him, Jimmy's been, isn't it? It's incredible. Well,
he hasn't made too many mistakes in the last 3 or 4 rounds. And even in between rounds there, Cowdell was sitting in his corner, perfectly composed. Daho looked as though he'd really been in a war. And Daho's looking a little bit leg weary. He still has enough power in these single punches he's throwing to bother Cowdell, but I don't think Cowdell's going to give him the chance now. He really is on song.
Desperate corners now with Daho there. Come on, Najib. They know that their man's in trouble.
See, Daho is so tired now, Reg. He's trying to counter-punch Cowdell now, and there is no way. Cowdell is far too sharp. He would have to launch attacks. There's no way he can stand there and hope to counter-punch the master counter-puncher.
Just picking them at will at times, Cowdell, isn't he? He's really got his rhythm going with punches, putting them together in little clusters all the time. He's never been the greatest of punchers, but he hits you so accurately. Minute to go in the 8th.
I don't think Daho has the zip now to knock Cowdell out of his stride. He doesn't seem to have that strength or that power.
So the clock for the end of this round, and really Najib Daho is struggling. He's plenty of heart, keeps coming back all the time, but Cowdell dictating.
Hands on your knees. Hands on your knees. Now look, you're putting him up there. Very good job. On your left. Push down, push down. Najib. Don't swing in.
So the last fights he had actually were against Mark Pearce and Les Walsh. He won those. But I'm wondering now what Ken Daniels in the ring there and Jack Trickett on the other side, whether they can really pump this fellow up enough. He's starting to struggle. Jim?
Yeah, well, it's a long time since Daho has had any success whatsoever. Now his head's getting knocked back by these punches. Cowdell is really in control, as you can see here, looking at the target all the time, nothing coming back his way, and pinning Daho on the end of these long, annoying punches.
Coming out for the 9th round of the scheduled 12. Such a determined character, Cowdell, Jim, when you think of the, you know, running into a Zuma Nelson punch and then a Daho punch like that. He's got over it okay. And he's so determined to become a champion again.
Cowdell is such a great distance fighter. He always was. Anything that has gone serious or wrong has been in the first round, once he warms to his task. I mean, he's taken a couple of good shots from Daho since the second and third round, and it hasn't troubled him now that he's warmed up.
Well, he doesn't have to do the the 15s anymore, because British and European are 12, and so is the World Boxing Council, and at the convention of the WBA in Costa Rica over the weekend, they've now reduced their championships to 12 rounds. So only the IBF, as it's known, is left with 15.
Cowdell could stop him here, Reg. Those punches really shook him right down to his toes, and they were only jabs. A couple of real solid punches from Cowdell. I think Daho is so worn out.
I think maybe, Jim, the wars with Barry Michael and Jean-Marc Renard are catching up with him a little bit now, isn't he? He's running
yeah, that's possible. But look at the way his head is being rocked now by these jabs. This is really looking bleak for Daho. Still full of heart. There we go.
Yeah, he looks like stopping him in the 9th. He's got all the courage in the world, Daho, but he is rocking the whole time now, and Cowdell knows it.
Nothing coming back from Daho at all, Reg. It's all one-way traffic.
Minute to go in the 9th. And yes, it's, well, as one-sided as an avalanche at the moment.
This is where, with Cowdell's experience, he should be showing Daho a little feint before he throws. He's allowing Daho to survive because he's getting too close as he is now.
There it is, all over. And 2 minutes 35 I made that of the 9th round. What a comeback by Pat Cowdell, the old ring general himself from the Black Country. The man who at the start of the fight, well, you begin to wonder whether he could do it or not. But not only did he do it, he did it in style. And the ring is being invaded. They're needing the security boys in there to stop this. Everybody wants to cuddle the new champion. And as I said, he could go on to fight again for the European Championship if he wants to, because an Italian promoter has the champion Corsetti, and he says he doesn't mind if Cowdell takes Daho's place. So it's cuddles all round to the family and supporters, the managing Lynch brothers there as well. And it really is the usual melee in the ring there, like a carnival at times. But they've managed now to calm down those who should not be in the ring, although I could think of about 20 in there who shouldn't. Jim, here's the end.
Yeah, well, it's what we've come to expect from Pat Cowdell, a totally professional performance. Daho had nothing at all to offer in that round. See the way his head's been knocked back here. You cannot allow that to go on. Referee said Nathan's timing was perfect. It's time to get him out of there.
So there you are now, he's just given the result, Nat Passo, as if we didn't know it, but the Border Control insists on that, 2:26.
The referee has stopped the contest to save Daho further punishment. The winner and the new super middleweight champion.
There it is, taking the plaudits, and doesn't he deserve them, Pat Cowdell. And he's in there with his old mate again, isn't he, Gary Newbon.
Pat, you got the Lonsdale belt back again, and not a lot of people thought you'd do that.
Well, that's right, Gary. I mean, people was clashing me with Joe Bugner. I mean, Joe Bugner was an older man than me, Gary, 3 years older than me, and he wasn't fit. I'm 34 and I'm fit as a fiddle.
It seems to be in the first round where you're vulnerable against Nelson, against Daho last time, and you rocked a bit, the only time you're in trouble tonight.
Oh, Gary, I rocked in 1 or 2 rounds then, I'll tell you.
But the first round is when you seem to be vulnerable these days.
I don't think so, Gary. I think you're wrong. I think when you got a fighter like that, we can punch, you know. And he caught me every round, I think, and wobbled me, you know. But also, I caught him and wobbled him a few times.
Were you amazed that you stopped him all the same, because he's such a strong boxer?
He's a very strong fighter. He went the distance with the world champion, Gary. But I believed in my own ability. And when you believe in your own ability, that's what can happen. So let's just like say one thing, Gary. that fight was for my brother and his 2 kids. He's had a lot of bad luck lately, and that'll cheer him up a bit.
Yes, because you lost just before the fight, you lost your sister-in-law, unfortunately. Let's just have a look at the end of the fight. Coming up now, I mean, tremendous old Pat Cowdell style here.
Yes, Gary, Daho was very, very dangerous with his head. I thought he could have been warned for his head a few times, that's how I got the cut. But I stuck to it, I kept stuck to my guns, and Daho took some stick. He took some stick from round 1, Gary, to the last round.
Well, it was a superb performance by you tonight, but what of the future now? Because you said if you lost tonight, you'd retire. How long can you really go on for? Are you going to retire?
Oh no, I'm not going to retire, Gary, because I want to defend once more to try and win the belt outright. But the next fight, he's not going to be no pushover by any means.
And what about the European title? Because Daho was in line for a European title fight on Christmas Day, been nominated, and Cowdell's gone and done it again.
Well, trust Cowdell to put the cat among the pigeons, Gary, you know what I mean? I'll sort him out, don't worry about that.
Well, just before you go, have you got a word for this lad who's suddenly lost his title, Najib Daho, because you were saying you really hated him before the fight?
Well, you say that, Gary, but when the fight's over with, you know, we're all the best of friends, and I admire him for being such a good fighter, you know what I mean? And he's a credit to the game. Return if you want one, no problem.
All right, are you serious? We've got to return
after the Doherty fight.
After you've got to defend it against Doherty.
And then if nothing else comes up, if no European comes up, I want to think about my future, but if I do carry on boxing, then Najib will be the first in line, okay.
Well, there you go, Najib. The point is, Najib, do you really want to carry on after all that?
Of course I carry on. I've got plenty of time on me. It's just I made a mistake. I boxed him, which I shouldn't done. I tried to box with him, so that's why I went wrong. You know, I should have gone to fight him, but the corner, they said to me, go on and box him, so he went wrong, and he was better man than I am on the day. And I wish him all the best. I don't have to cry about it like he done, and I wish him all the best.
Well, you've lost a European title chance now. Where do you go from here?
Well, there's plenty of time has come. I wait. If it's Cowdell 34 and he won it, I'm 28. I've still got 6 years ahead.
Right. Okay, well, you blew up tonight, unlike you being so strong.
Thank you very much. It's just one of them days. It was his day today. I'm really sorry today, but he was his day today. And it's all depend on the day.
Okay, Najib, it's a great fight to watch.
Thank you very much.
Not for you, though. Thank you very much. Right, let's bring in Pat Cowdell's manager here. Paddy Lynch, now what a performance by Pat Cowdell.
That was brilliant. It was vintage Pat Cowdell tonight. He really fought well. I was really delighted for Pat. He's had a lot of bad luck lately. And he went out tonight and he done everything we asked of him. He was brilliant. He's trained very, very hard for this fight. It's been on his mind ever since he lost to Daho. It's been like an itch under his skin. He had to get in there and beat Daho tonight, and he did it in fantastic style. I'm very pleased.
Now he's talking about going on for one more defence. I mean, there's a danger in Pat Cowdell's position to go on too long. He really is getting on a bit now. He's 34, fitness not in doubt, but I mean, how long are you really going to let him go on?
Well, I feel after he makes the mandatory defence against Pat Doherty up in Bradford later on in the year, we'll sit down and we'll have a serious discussion about whether Pat should or shouldn't go on.
He's talking, we're all in the heat of the moment here, but he's talking about fighting against Najib Daho in a return if he beats Doherty. Is that really on?
Well, let's get the Doherty fight out of the way. As I say, Gary, we'll sit down and discuss it. At that stage, Pat will have his 2 Lonsdale belts. So I don't really know whether he bothered to go on or not. We'll just wait and see, Gary.
Okay, but a super night for you.
Fantastic. Very pleased.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's Pat Cowdell then with the Lonsdale belt, and if he defends it successfully against the next nominated boxer, John Doherty, who he's already beat once for the British title, then that will belong to him. He's got 1 belt for 1 son, his 2 sons, Patrick and Christopher. If he defends it successfully now, the old general from Whalley will make it 2 for the family, and the other son, I think it's Christopher, the younger one, will get that one. His brother has the other one. Great night for Pat Cowdell. So, as we look at a boxer getting his title back, let's now have a look at a boxer from the same camp who's just lost his title, Tony Willis, who's now fighting at light welter. He was up against Dave Haggerty.
Oh, I think we'd like to look to see how it finished, actually, Gary, if we could, the fight once more. There's been so much around the ring here.
shots from Daho since the second and third round, and it hasn't troubled him now that he's warmed up.
Well, he doesn't have to do the 15s anymore, because British and European are 12, and so is the World Boxing Council, and at the convention of the WBA in Costa Rica over the weekend, they've now reduced their championships to 12 rounds. So only the IBF, as it's known, is left with 15.
Cowdell could stop him here, Reg. Those punches really shook him right down to his toes, and they were only jabs. A couple of real solid punches from Cowdell. I think Daho is so worn out.
I think maybe, Jim, the wars with Barry Markle and Jean-Marc Renard are catching up with him a little bit now, isn't he?
Yeah, that's possible. But look at the way his head has been rocked now by these jabs. This is really looking bleak for Daho. Still full of heart. There we go.
Yeah, he looks like stopping him in the 9th. He's got all the courage in the world, Daho, but he is rocking the whole time now, and Cowdell knows it.
Nothing coming back from Daho at all, Reg. It's all one-way traffic.
Minute to go in the 9th. And yes, it's, well, as one-sided as an avalanche at the moment.
This is where, with Cowdell's experience, he should be showing Daho a little feint before he throws. He's allowing Daho to survive because he's getting too close as he is now.
There it is, it's all over. And 2 minutes 35 I made that of the 9th round. What a comeback by Pat Cowdell, the old ring general himself from the Black Country. The man who at the start of the fight, well, you begin to wonder whether he could do it or not. But not only did he do it, he did it in style. And the ring is being invaded. They're needing the security boys in there to stop this. Everybody wants to cuddle the new champion. And as I said, he could go on to fight again for the European Championship if he wants to, because an Italian promoter has the champion Corsetti, and he says he doesn't mind if Cowdell takes Daho's place.
Well, my apologies for not showing the Tony Willis fight. In fact, as it turned out, we had time to show you that again in a quick chat with Jim Watt. It was well worth seeing that finish again, wasn't it, Jim?
That was that was Pat Cowdell, back to the old master. It was a fabulous performance. They're speaking about Pat retiring, but why should he? If that had been a tooth and nail battle tonight and he'd managed to scrape home just by the skin of his teeth, then I would say, Pat, you've proved your point, you've come back, picked up the title, call it a day. But he didn't take anything tonight. A couple of shaky rounds in the early stages, then he got into his old rhythm, his timing, everything come all back into view again. It was a fabulous performance. I feel so happy for Pat because I think he deserved it. But on that kind of form, not being hit, he can go on as long as he likes.
But can he really, Jim? I mean, he's 34, and surely, as you were saying during the commentary, that some of his reflexes were going, he was suspect about the first round.
Well, he seems to be a slow starter, as I was myself. I was still boxing in world class at almost 33. Too many people look at the years and worry about it. Don't worry about it. It depends. A boxer's career depends mainly on how often he was hit in the early part of his career. Now, Cowdell for years didn't take anything at all hardly. He's always boxed in good company. He's always believed that it's far more gracious to give than to receive. And because of that, he's had a fabulously long career. Now, we saw him tonight. He looked fresh all the way through. All the old timing ability was there. Carry on, Pat, and please us.
Well, that's a good place to leave on a night when the old general was very much back in business. Pat Cowdell is champion again. Good night.